Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news, and we've got a big show tonight. Is the Ugarte deal to Manchester United potentially hanging by a thread? Some reports are suggesting that Manchester United might not actually be able to get the deal done, and a number of things hangs in the balance. Do we believe it? I don't really know, but we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Ugarte. We're going to talk about Scott McTominay to Napoli as well, and, you know, the domino effect that will have in potentially getting the Ugarte deal done, and what type of deal the actual Ugarte one will be, depending on whether Scott McTominay leaves or not. We've got a lot of updates in relation to Jadon Sancho as well, guys. Obviously, Juventus have been linked with him in the past few days. We're hearing reports today suggesting that Chelsea are looking to come in with a swap deal with one and potentially two players going in the opposite direction. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We're going to talk as well about Bayern Munich potentially coming into the race for Jadon Sancho also. So we've got plenty to talk about, guys. Please do smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. We're on the road to 12,000 subscribers. But more importantly, please do get your comments into the comment section below, into the live chat, and we will go through as many of them as we possibly can. We've got a new week starting, and it's the last week of the transfer window. So a lot of deals potentially getting done and not getting done by Manchester United, both in and out. So we'll be talking about as much of it as we possibly can. But great to see so many people in, as always, guys. Like I said, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're new, and get involved in the chat as well, and we'll go through as many comments as we can. But anyway, let's get straight into it, and let's talk about Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United. Now, this is from Fabrizio Romano yesterday. And he says Manchester United are set to close the Ugarte deal, and it can now be a permanent transfer. And the main reason for that is because if all goes to plan with Scott McTominay to Napoli, United will proceed with payment for Ugarte as PSG wanted. Ugarte only wants United. He's ready to travel. Now, so obviously we haven't been live doing a transfer show since last Friday, and there's been a good few updates over the weekend in relation to this. We've been hearing an awful lot of, I suppose, small steps towards getting the Ugarte deal done, and Fabrizio Romano is, of course, staying well on top of it. To be honest with you, it's nothing major in relation to what we already knew. United and PSG are working towards getting a deal done. But we did hear over the weekend that Scott McTominay has pretty much, I won't say sealed the deal to Napoli, but he already has his personal terms agreed, and Manchester United seem to have agreed a fee with Napoli as well. They've come up to the €30 million asking price that United have been looking for. So that obviously has a knock-on effect in relation to Manuel Ugarte moving to Manchester United. Now, we do know in some of the deals that we've seen, players leaving Manchester United, and the main one here being the Aaron Wan-Bissaka deal, is that compensation packages have been agreed for Wan-Bissaka to leave Manchester United and go to West Ham, given the fact that he'll be taking a pay cut, okay? Now, there are some reports today suggesting that Manchester United's Manuel Ugarte deal is not expected to be completed before deadline day. And this all relates back to Scott McTominay. It's all a big spider's web, and of course the domino effect that comes along with that. Other reports then are saying that Man United must agree a payoff with Scott McTominay to smooth the Napoli move, and this is the big stumbling block, you would have to say, or what this is what is being reported more than anything else as the stumbling block. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said today that McTominay has already accepted Napoli and their project. Details to be discussed about his payoff, similar to Wan-Bissaka. This is the main part to fix, plus personal terms. So personal terms supposedly not 100% nailed on with Scott McTominay and Napoli as of yet. Club-to-club agreement done with United for the €30 million fee, add-ons included, plus a sell-on clause. So basically, what we're saying here is that Manchester United need to agree a payoff package with Scott McTominay for him to leave Manchester United, and that in turn then will free up the funds that United will get from the Scott McTominay deal to get the Manuel Ugarte deal over the line. Now, how quickly can we get that done? that remains to be seen. It's all down to Manchester United and Scott McTominay agreeing a package deal for him to leave Manchester United. Now, it does look like something. It does look like something that can get done relatively smoothly. We've seen it with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. There was no real issues there. There wasn't any pushback from Wan-Bissaka's representatives in terms of wanting more money to leave the club. We heard initially with Wan-Bissaka that he wanted up to 7 million of a payout. Now, I don't know how eventually what that figure landed on, but it does look like we're going to have to do something similar with Scott McTominay. It's just a done deal now, to be quite honest with you. The days of, a player going into the manager's office and going, "We've sold you, pack your bags, you have to go to Napoli tomorrow for a medical." Them days are gone. There's legal ramifications, and players are entitled to, see out their contracts, so on and so forth. So it's something that we do see a lot more now in the modern day transfer. And do I see this deal being off or potentially not getting done and Ugarte not coming to Manchester United? No, I don't. I think we're going to get a payoff package put together for Scott McTominay, and we will get that done relatively quick, I would say. Again, we do have to keep in mind that the deadline for transfers, I think, isn't it Saturday? It is. It's Saturday night. So, a lot of work to get done in the coming days. And it does look like Scott McTominay is going to be going to Napoli, with then obviously Manuel Ugarte coming to United. I think it will get done relatively easy. Now, we did hear over the weekend as well that Manchester United have potentially bargained their way of getting a better deal for Ugarte. PSG supposedly have lowered their price rather than United increasing theirs. Now, again, look, a couple of different reports suggesting different amounts, but look, I think over the next few days, and once the deal is done, obviously we will find out what those figures are. But I don't see it being too much of a stumbling block, to be quite honest with you. We already have personal terms agreed with Ugarte from back in July, if some reports are to be believed. So I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. And look, I think it will get done. I mentioned last week that I was 9 out of 10 that, 90% that Ugarte was going to join Manchester United. And to be honest with you, I think we're getting a pretty good upgrade, if I'm being honest. We do know that the money coming in for Scott McTominay, albeit less than what we're going to be paying for Ugarte, it is pure profit coming into the club because, Scott McTominay is an academy player. And in relation to PSR, it goes directly to, into the pockets of the club, which is very, very good. Again, even if, and I think a lot of the reports that we're hearing over the last maybe 24 hours or so about a potential stumbling block here, if Scott McTominay doesn't move to Napoli, does that mean Manchester United and Ugarte is over? I don't think that is the case. I think the reason why we heard an awful lot last week about a loan with an obligation to buy is because Manchester United are covering all of their bases. And this is the kind of negotiating that we could have only dreamed of under the likes of Ed Woodward and John Murta and Richard Arnold and these types of guys. Man United are covering all bases here. And the reason for the delay in the Ugarte deal is not because we need the money to reinvest. We don't need the money from Scott McTominay's transfer to go out and get Ugarte. The reason why there's a delay in Ugarte is because if Scott McTominay is sold, then we can buy Ugarte on a permanent deal. If Scott McTominay isn't sold, then we can go the loan with an obligation to buy route, where we're not paying any money for him this year, and we will just kick the can down the road and pay the transfer fee next summer. So I think it's very, very smart negotiating out with Manchester United, and they're covering all bases with Ugarte, which is something that, again, I go back and say it's something we could have only dreamed of in the old regime in terms of, really strong negotiating. And we've seen it throughout this transfer window. Of course, the Lenny Yoro deal, the De Ligt and Mazraoui deal, then we got them for a really, really good price as a combined figure. If you want to put it together, I think it was 60 million euro for both players, which is absolutely fantastic, you have to say. And of course, Joshua Zirkzee then was got on a very good price and a very good wage as well. I think he's I think he's on only around 50 grand a week, which is absolutely fantastic. So very, very good negotiating out with Manchester United here and covering all angles. If Scott McTominay is sold, we can buy Ugarte on a permanent basis. And then if Scott McTominay decides not to leave, if the pay package for him to leave doesn't, match his expectations, then he probably stays, and we just get Ugarte on a loan with an obligation to buy next year and pay the transfer fee next year. So look, like I said, very, very smart negotiating out of Manchester United. But let's jump into the chat here, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and we'll go down through what you guys think. I think it would be great to get Sancho gone, says Darrow. We're going to talk about Sancho in a moment. Ben says, did you settle for steak or a burger Saturday? I actually had a fillet steak with garlic butter, mash and roast vegetables. It was absolutely delicious. I'm just checking on the baby. Sorry, I've got 2 baby monitors here as well. Brian says, evening, Jack. Hope you're well. Hopefully there's some common sense in here as the Twitter sphere has gone into meltdown about the loss at the weekend. Brian, you are at the United Sensible channel here. We don't get too carried away when we win, and we don't get too downhearted when we lose. I think there was a lot of positives to take from the game, and a lot of the online fan base, like you said, are losing their absolute mind over it. But I think we control large parts of the game. I can see what Erik ten Hag is trying to do. There was individual errors made on the weekend, and that's the reason why we lost. And I mean, you look at a millimetre, that ball hit Xerxes' knee going into the goal, and Man United are 2-1 up, and we go on to win the game, I believe. So I don't think it's as meltdown central as the mainstream and TalkSport and all these idiots would have you to believe. So if you want some common sense and some, level-headed opinions, you're in the right place. Ben is in. Darryl is there as well. Danny says, a loan with an obligation to buy was looking set, but now Scott McTominay is leaving. We can sign Ugarte permanently. Absolutely. Remember, guys, hit the like button. Says Petland. Appreciate it. Darryl says, I saw something about the deal not being done, but it came from that wet wipe goal bridge. All right, that's fair enough. Brian says, it sounds similar to the Wan-Bissaka deal that allowed us to get De Ligt and Mazraoui done. Personal terms agreed. Just need sales to free up funds for the transfer fee. Darryl says, with Hannibal and McTominay gone, that should free up cash for Ugarte. Chris is in. He says, oh dear Lord, it will get done. It will get done. A big shout out to Chris as well for covering the watch along on the weekend. Done a great job. Richard says, would anyone be in for the idea of Sancho on 30 million for Kingsley Coman? I mean, I like Kingsley Coman. I really do. Would he? Is that the type of deal United are probably going to do now? Probably not, given the amount of money he would cost and the wages he would garner as well. I think United are probably trying to move away from deals like that at the moment. Petland says, why in your thumbnail do you say Ugarte deal off? I think we need to keep McTominay and concentrate on getting Sancho out. Well, there's a question mark. The question mark beside Ugarte deal off is in relation to the reports coming out today that are suggesting that may happen. We don't make the news, we just report on it. I don't think the deal is going to be off, but again, we talk about the reports that are coming out throughout the day. So let's say McTominay leaves. That's 2 homegrown players gone from the squad. We will need a homegrown player, at least one, Sterling or Tony. Well, we've got Marcus Rashford. If you're talking homegrown, does that mean within England? If you're getting Tony or Sterling, we've got Mason Mount, we've got Luke Shaw, we've got Menu, we've got more than enough, I believe. Bilal. Richard says, just subscribe, guys. Love the channel so far, but I think get Ugarte done and then Sancho out the door. Maybe use him for Coman in some way. Cash plus that donkey Bayern's way. Well, I appreciate you subscribing, Richard, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for your comments. Keep them coming, guys. Chris says, I think I'm going to invest in my own UCC studio. Connor says, will you gift a membership? We tend to gift memberships for the watch alongs, Connor, so stick with us. If anyone wants to become an official member, link is in the description, guys. And the merch, check out the merch. There we go. That's one of the designs we've got up. Again, the link is in the description. Go check it out. I've got a lot of people asking me about it lately. Let's see. I would swap Sancho for Chiesa, says Chris. Bexy says Ugarte is not off. We didn't say it was. There's a question mark in the thumbnail, guys. No way McMuffin can stay. Come on against Brighton, and we got worse. We still love Tom Heaton, says Brian. There you go. Tom Heaton as well. Absolutely. United are clearly waiting for the moment on McTominay. Also, Sancho, I believe, will go, possibly on a lower price to Chelsea. We're going to talk about Sancho in a moment. Jermaine says it's not off. Question mark, lads. Question mark. Question mark. We're only discussing the reports coming out today. Try the Farmer Burger next time. If you haven't, I'd prefer a loan with an option to buy instead of obligation. The Farmer Burger I have had before in that restaurant, and it's absolutely delicious, Ben. Absolutely delicious, man. Yeah, there we go. Shaw, Rashford, Mount, Collier, Manu, Maguire, Amas. Yeah, plenty of homegrown players there, guys. Let's see. Right, perfect. Let's move it on, guys. And I do want to talk next about Jadon Sancho. Okay, number of reports coming out. Obviously, we haven't done a transfer news show since the end of last week. So a lot of updates in relation to Jadon Sancho since then. The main one being Juventus. Now, reports coming out today suggesting Juventus have reiterated their interest in signing Manchester United star Jadon Sancho on loan. And another report suggested, this is coming out of the Manchester Evening News, that a private plane was booked as Juventus enter talks with Manchester United for the winger. Again, look, the potential deal for Sancho to Juventus is looking like a loan because they can't afford a deal for him. And again, we go back to what we've said, and again, I will reiterate that reports have come out to shore up this, that Manchester United are not going to let Jadon Sancho go on loan unless there's an obligation to buy included in the loan deal. And 100% that is the right move. It really, really is. I can't reiterate it enough that Jadon Sancho's time at Manchester United is pretty much over. And if we are going to loan him out, it is at no benefit to Manchester United for us to loan him and then he to end up with us again next summer, and we just go through the cycle again. He'll have a year less left on his contract, and his value will decrease. Now, he could go and burn it up at Juventus for a year, but then if the price increases and he goes from a 40 million asking price to a 55 million asking price after a good season, will Juventus be able to afford him again next year? So I think the obligation to buy has to be included in any deal for Jadon Sancho going out on loan, and I'll die on that opinion. I really will. However, the most interesting report coming out over the weekend was in relation to Jadon Sancho to Chelsea, and Chelsea looking at potentially a swap deal. Now, they mentioned two players. One was Ben Chilwell and the other one was Raheem Sterling. And Manchester United could sign Raheem Sterling to replace Sancho, a lot of these reports were saying. Now, I've got a number of reports open here and we'll go down through them. This is coming from, I'm not really sure who this guy is, to be quite honest with you, for Team Talk. So, pinch of salt, we always say with these. But we discussed the reports. Raheem Sterling is keen on joining Manchester United before the transfer window closes. United hold an interest in Sterling, but he would have to take a pay cut to join them. Now, that's the big issue here, is that Raheem Sterling is on 300 plus grand a week at Chelsea, and he's got 3 years left on his deal. Is he going to take a pay cut to come to Manchester United? And we've been talking about a lot of players leaving Manchester United. We just spoke about Scott McTominay getting a pay package deal to leave. You would presume Sterling is going to want something like that to leave Chelsea, given the fact that he is not going to get 300 grand anywhere on the face of the planet, bar maybe Saudi Arabia, if he is to leave Chelsea. But the question I have here, and we'll put a poll up for you guys to vote on in the chat. Would you take Sterling at United? And obviously, you do have to take into consideration here, Raheem Sterling was a Manchester United fan growing up, but he's also played for Liverpool and Manchester City. So would you take him at Manchester United, given his history in playing with some of our biggest rivals? Now, you know, I would it be the most shocking thing to ever happen? No. Would any of you have ever said that Michael Owen would have ended up playing for Manchester United when he was scoring all of them goals for Liverpool? 100% you wouldn't. And I do think Raheem Sterling is a decent footballer. Would he come in and shore up maybe that left wing spot? I don't think he would. I think Garnacho is a better footballer, and I think he would probably be duking it out with Marcus Rashford for maybe the second spot there. He can play anywhere across the front line, you could say, but I mean, ultimately, a deal for Raheem Sterling is something that I can't really see happening, because I don't think the figures would be right. I think he would want too much money, and if we were getting Raheem Sterling, if it was a straight swap for Jadon Sancho, would you take it? I mean, are you getting rid of one player who's not good enough for another player who's maybe not good enough? I think it would kind of be a sideways step by Manchester United. And as well, do we really need another winger? I mean, we've got, obviously, Rashford, Garnacho and Ahmad are the main ones. And, of course, Anthony doesn't look like he's going anywhere either. We know Joshua Zirkzee can play anywhere across the front line as well. We know Mason Mount can play left and right in a forward line. And we've seen Bruno Fernandes play there before. Now, I do know and I do understand that you do have to have depth within your squad. However, I don't see Sterling as being an ideal option for that. Now, the Telegraph were saying Sterling would consider a move to Manchester United, but will not press ahead with any transfer from Chelsea until he has held further discussions with the club about his contractual situation. So that goes back to what we've been saying about, he's not going to leave unless he's getting a fucking massive payout there. Absolutely 100%. And why should he? This is what's going to come back to bite Chelsea in the arse when they're giving these, players massive contracts, really long contracts on really high wages. And then you're going to try and get some of them off the books over the next few years. None of them are going to want to leave because they're all on massive money, and they're all that money is locked in for a long period of time. So I think Chelsea are in big trouble. But anyway, on to other things. David Ornstein has also been talking about it. He says his Sterling's priority is to resolve his Chelsea contract situation before talks over a move this summer. 3 years left on 300 plus K per week. His Chelsea deal, inquiries from clubs, but concrete dialogue not yet to begin. No interest from Aston Villa. That was earlier today. And Fabrizio, we gave Fabrizio Romano's update on it already. So, look, I mean, Raheem Sterling to Manchester United, I can't really see it happening. I don't think it will happen. And to be honest with you, if it did happen, I wouldn't be, I would get behind him, and I would, say I hope he does well because he's playing for Manchester United and so on and so forth. But I don't really want to see it happening, to be quite honest with you. I don't really want to see it happening. But if it does, it does. I don't think it will. Ben Chilwell, on the other hand, guys, is another player that has been linked with a potential swap deal and potentially included in 2 for 1. And look, we know the issues that are going on at left back at the moment, and I'm not the biggest fan of Ben Chilwell. I don't rate him that much, and again, I think he's he is injury prone. He's had a few injuries in the last few seasons as well. He finds himself out of that Chelsea squad as well. Cucurella is in ahead of him. I mean, Ben Chilwell, what would he be coming in for? Again, he would be a player that would demand relatively high wages, and when we've already got a player like Luke Shaw there and Malacia there to come back, we do have relatively okay cover there so far. Now, you would hope the likes of Mazraoui and Delort don't pick up an injury before they come back. But then you can also look at the likes of Harry Amas, who is an academy player who I would much rather see come up and get game time than, bringing someone like Ben Chilwell in for cover when you could use an academy graduate, albeit he might not be ready. And I would hate to see him, be relied on to be the number one left back if, you know, injuries deem that, because you need to give young players time to develop and time to, you know, tiptoe their way into the first team squad. So look, I'm not overly concerned about left back. I've said it over the transfer window, and I said it all the way before the transfer window even opened. I didn't think left back was going to be a major priority this summer. I think it probably will be next summer, but with the likes of Mazraoui coming in, who, you know, is a right back, and we know Dalot is a right back as well. I think probably next summer is when we're going to look at going out and getting a real solid brand new left back. And I think a lot of that depends as well on whether we're able to shift Luke Shaw out of Manchester United. You know, a lot of fans are saying, you know, he's too injury prone, and I tend to agree with an awful lot of that. You know, I will also agree, you know, with what people say, that Luke Shaw is one of the best left backs in the world on his day. Now, on his day has always been used with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw has missed more than half of the games for Manchester United since he's been a Manchester United player. And that's just not good enough. So what club is going to come in, pay a big transfer fee for Luke Shaw given his injury record, pay him the kind of wages that he will look for, and will Luke Shaw even want to leave? Because he probably won't get that type of money elsewhere as well, unless he's willing to take a big pay cut. So I think the left back area is something that we will probably just sit tight with for the time being. I don't see a left back coming in between now and the end of the transfer window, and I've stuck to that throughout the entirety of this transfer window. So I do think it's something we'll probably look at next summer. Guys, great to see so many people in. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. Over 80 people watching and only 34 likes. Take a second, hit that thumbs up button for me. Let's try to get to 50 likes if we can. And if you are new to the channel, guys, please do hit that subscribe button as well. And once you hit the subscribe button, jump into the chat and say hello and give us your opinion. It's great to see new names popping up in the chat every week. Richard, Brexy, who else? We go back through. We've got some there. John, Bilal. You know, great to see so many people in as well, guys. New names in every night, which is absolutely brilliant. The channel is growing massively. So, brilliant stuff. Right, okay. Let's have a look at the live poll, and we asked people, would you take Raheem Sterling at Manchester United? We've had 43 votes on it. We have 28% saying yes, and 72% of you guys are saying no, you wouldn't have him at Manchester United. And look, I mean, I can completely understand that, given, you know, his history. And now look, it's, you know, we talk about you know, players that want to play for Manchester United and so on and so forth. And a lot of people saying, you know, oh, if a player wants to play, then let it, you know, he should want to play for United to sign and so on and so forth. But it's not always as simple as that. You know, Raheem Sterling was a Manchester United fan growing up, but he subsequently went and played for Liverpool and Man City. And, you know, if Man United were in for Sterling the same time as Liverpool were, would he have signed for us? Probably, given the fact that he was a United fan. But that's how these things work. And I think, you know, I think given who he's played for, I mean, you play for Liverpool or Man City, that's one thing. But playing for both of them and then coming and playing for Man United, yeah, it's I think it's a big no-no. Let's see what you're saying in the chat here. Let's have a look and see. D says, couldn't care if he comes out of Fergie's nose or was biologically grown from parts of the stadium. There's not a chance we can straight swap Sancho for him, and would need to be money coming to us also. That's a good point. Chris says, only take him for half his salary and a 2-year deal. Let's see. And Ben says, unfortunately, we have Anthony. We need a proven goal scorer, says Chris. Richard says, Sterling's career has gone. If he doesn't stay at Chelsea, he will be on his way to Qatar in January. Well, the thing about Sterling as well, and something we do have to realise, is that throughout the entirety of his career, he's had 2 good seasons, and both of them seasons were under Guardiola. And I think Guardiola kind of lost faith in him then at the end as well, because once he came out of that, you know, that peak and down into his dip, then Guardiola was quick about moving him on. Mount is hurt, yet again. Yeah, so Mount came off at half-time. Supposedly there was an issue. No updates on what it is. But, I mean, again, I've spoken about Mount in depth over the last couple of weeks, saying, you know, I think that press that Ten Hag is looking to do in the final third, I think Mount is absolutely vital to it. So, you know, but again, you know, Xerxes comes in as a false 9. Bruno Fernandes drops back into the 10. I think it's an easy enough fix, but I don't think we'll have that same kind of press and intensity that we would without Mount in the team. Brian says he's also 29, so doesn't fit the Ineos profile, and that's a great point as well. I'd rather we went and got Schneider. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't been linked with him again this summer. We usually are, even though he's like 40 now, is he? Well, he mightn't even be, but then pictures of him and how heavy he's after getting is yeah, I think Ed Woodward would still probably love to sign him. I'd rather ask Raul if he's up for minutes for a free. Lads, listen, we've got our own Raul as the assistant managers. Just get him to don the boots there, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and I'm sure we'll be grand. Zero excitement for Sterling, says Brexy. Ben Chilwell can sod right off. Chilwell is a cover at least. He could play cup games. Ben says, I'd rather a youth player at left back. There we go, like we were speaking about Harry Amas. Richard says, when it comes to left back, I'd promote Amas and be done with it until Shaw's back, and then prioritise it in the next window or summer. Yeah, absolutely, like what we were saying there. Chilwell is dirt, says Daryl. Oshin says, Mr. 442 has entered the chat. There we go. Welcome back, Oshin. Hope you're doing well, pal. Let's see. Would rather start Amas instead, even thinking of Chilwell coming in, says D. He also says Delo's been decent on the left and is also comfortable over there, so we can just rotate the two of them from side to side. Absolutely. Keane says, is Ugarte deal off, missed the start? Well, there has been some reports suggesting that it could be off, Keane, but we've been talking about how maybe quite confident we are that it will get done. It's basically waiting for Scott McTominay to leave before we decide whether we buy him permanently or we go with a loan with an obligation to buy next summer. Rashford with Shaw is a different player. Yeah, and Brexy, I know where you're coming from there, but I can't agree with that, to be honest with you. And look, I do. It's quite an easy comparison given how well Rashford played 2 seasons ago with that 30 goal season, and Shaw was playing behind him for the majority of it. However, you have to take responsibility yourself as a player. You cannot say I'm not playing well because Luke Shaw is injured. It's up to Marcus Rashford to play well on his own back, you know, rather than someone else doing it. And look, again, I said something very similar when Mazraoui was being linked with United. A lot of people were saying that, yeah, Mazraoui will get an awful lot out of Anthony on that right hand side because they played with each other at Ajax and they done really well together. And I said pretty much the same thing. I said Mazraoui signing shouldn't be the reason why Anthony is, you know, going to play well. Anthony needs to play well because he needs to play well, regardless of who's behind him. And it's similar on the other side as well. D says, been here 10 plus years and only played just under 5 years worth of games during that time. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Richard said he missed over 200 games since signing. That's scary. I'd get him gone next summer. I went through his game history before and got the actual numbers. It was worrying. What do we reckon to Liverpool this weekend? Well, I'm going to be doing my match preview, guys, so if you are new to the channel, make sure you're turning on notifications. My match preview will be going up on Friday this week, so we always have it up 2 days before the game is on, so it'll be available and uploaded on Friday around lunchtime, hopefully. Dylan says he hasn't played a good game since leaving City. Sanjay is in as well, says hello. Good to see you, Sanjay. He says never have Sterling. Richard says, what about countering Chelsea and saying Sancho for Coleman? To be fair, any player can have a good season under Pep. As much as I hate the blue and white shite, he's the top manager. Yeah, he is. 100%. 100%. Let's see. I'd rather sell Jadon Sancho abroad than to another Premier League side, so Chelsea can keep their rejects. Well, to be honest with you, Danny, I think if Sancho went to Chelsea, I think he would just go, oh, this is deadly. Just make up the numbers. Don't have to work too hard. Pick up my check, and I think Chelsea would be an ideal breeding ground for him. To be quite honest with you. Would only take Cucurella as a swap, says Michael, and I don't really rate Cucurella that highly either. So I mean, I think with Mazraoui and Delo there, and when Shaw comes back, I think we'll be okay. And like we said, Harry Amas as well. Brian says, here's a mad thought. Even though it would never happen, would you hijack the João Cancelo deal, €25 million to Al Hilal? I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest. I've heard of worse ideas, Brian. The question is hunger from the player himself. Would he want to come to Manchester United? Do Man City have a buyback option? I don't know, to be honest with you. It wouldn't be the worst idea in the world, but I think João Cancelo would probably realise that him coming to Manchester United, he would probably be a squad player as well. I think we've got our fullback spot. Mazraoui was it, and I don't think we go for another one, to be quite honest. If your winger only shows up when another player presents, they need benching permanently. 100%. Rashford didn't do as bad at Brighton as people make out, but he needs a consistent season, average a 7 per game. And Max says, any news on Sancho to Juventus? We were just speaking about it. They look like the main suitors for him at the moment, but they are looking, Max, for a loan. And we have said that if we do loan him, it has to be a loan with an obligation to buy rather than an option to buy. So there we go. Let's see. What else have we got here? While we're on the Jadon Sancho train as well, guys, a report coming out today suggesting that Bayern Munich have joined the race for the in-demand Man United wide man. Let's go down through this real quick here. Where are we? A lot of these stuff can be absolute wibble. HITC Football have revealed that should Ineos agree to another loan, Borussia Dortmund, where the English player spent half of last season, would jump at the opportunity. And surprisingly, fellow Bundesliga rivals Bayern Munich, who are looking to offload Kingsley Coman, have also thrown their hat into the ring. Sancho's representatives have been told by Manchester United that he would be allowed to leave this summer, and various clubs are looking into options, but his huge wages are an issue that makes a permanent deal tough to do. HITC understands that Borussia Dortmund are ready to offer Sancho a move back to the club as long as United sanction a loan move. Now, this goes back to everything we've been saying so far about Sancho and about a potential loan move. You would have 10 clubs ready to offer Jadon Sancho a loan move easily. You honestly would. And to be honest with you, if that was an option, he would probably go straight back to Dortmund. The reason why this hasn't been spoken about, or why it's not even on the table, is that United are not letting him run down his contract. They want him gone off the books. They want his wages off the books, and they want him gone on a permanent deal. So, if Bayern Munich are to come in, again, all of these reports are talking about a loan deal, a loan deal. And like I said before, I've no problem with a loan deal, but fucking by God, you have to make sure that that obligation to buy is in that contract. Because if it isn't, we're going to have him back in 12 months' time, and we're going to be going through this all over again with him. He's going to be going on pre-season tour to America or wherever it is we're going, and you're going to have the Sancho fanboys online going, oh, he deserves another chance at Manchester United. Nonsense. Move him on as quickly as possible. If teams are not coming in for a permanent deal for him, then they're not going to be included in negotiations. And like I said, obligation to buy if it is going to be a loan. What do these clubs see in Sancho? He's a bag of shit, says Keane. Michael says, if we lose out on Ugarte over McTominay, I could be devastated. D says, we need an out-and-out killer in front of goal. Everything's starting to gel, but we just haven't got that deadly finish in front of the net. I'm 100% convinced that once that's there, we'll see the masterpiece complete. I agree. I think we're creating a lot better this season. I know it's been only 3 games we've played, but it is looking an awful lot better. There seems to be a bit of a structure about the team, and some people have been criticising me about this as well. But I think defensively we're looking a lot more solid. Individual errors have let us down. Harry Maguire, for the first goal, and then there was 2 or 3 players for the second goal that completely, just fucking lost their heads, and didn't cover the back post. But in terms of what Ten Hag is trying to do, I can see it. That 4-2-4 kind of formation, I can see what he's trying to do. I honestly can. Brian says his wages are so high that no club will pay his wages for a loan deal, and Ineos will not want to pay half of it either to play somewhere else. Exactly, especially when it's not Ineos who signed him. Raj says we need to sign a striker like Ivan Toney. What's your opinion? I wouldn't say no to a striker of that ilk coming in. I don't think it will happen, Raj. Though I honestly don't. I think Xerxes is in. And I said it before we were even linked with him that we were going to get a young striker to come in with Rasmus Højlund and share the workload. If Ivan Toney comes in, he's going to want to play every single game. And then all of a sudden, Xerxes finds himself on the bench. When Højlund comes back, he finds himself on the bench, and then their progression just stagnates. So I think we're done with strikers. I honestly do. D says Erik Ten Hag will show his final form in full flow. He also says Ivan Toney can F off. Then once he's off, he can. Alright, okay, we get it. Ben says, I'd nearly pay Maguire out of his contract. Look, Maguire is an okay backup. We know that there's mistakes going to be made with Maguire. He's an okay backup. That's it. That is it. That is absolutely it. And by the way, I just wanted to highlight it to you, alright? Let me just put this up on the screen. Look at this over here, look. Oasis! Are Oasis getting back together? Oh, God, I hope so. Richard says, I'd request info on Cambiasso from Juve, left back and plays on the wing. Also, he played left wing for Juve tonight and he's young enough. David says, I'm part of the Irish MUFC fan group on Facebook. You would not believe the crap that was coming out of it after Saturday. David, I would stay away from all of them, to be quite honest with you. I was in a few of them, and it's just all shite, to be honest with you. Rasmus will be back soon. Xerxes will be a good backup. There was a fair few cutting about everywhere, David, trust me. The admins had a guy that suggested Graham Potter take over. Jack, stop lying. He's used to say how you really feel. Look, he's not up. He's not. I presume we're talking about Harry Maguire here. I don't rate him, but I think as a backup, no problem. But yeah. Guys, we're going to leave it there. If you haven't already done so, please do hit that subscribe button. The numbers on our news shows every night are going up and up and up every week. I really, really do appreciate it. And I love the fact that we're getting new people with new opinions in the chat as well. You know, we might not always agree on each other's opinions, but they're absolutely 100% respected, and I love where the live chat is going every night and the conversations we're having. You're actually running the majority of the topics on the show, so I really do appreciate that. Finally, before we go, Hannibal Mejbri, here we go. Sorry, forgot to mention it. He completes his medical today at Burnley and joins on a permanent deal instead of a loan with an obligation to buy. Man United requested change as funds will be received earlier and deal will also include a sell-on clause. So we wish Hannibal the best of luck as well. Ultimately not good enough for Manchester United though, but I do wish him all the best in his future career. Guys, please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so. We have 49 likes. One more person there, hit that like button and let's get it to 50. And like I said, do smash the subscribe button as well. Let me see, Wednesday night, to make everybody aware, any of the official channel members, so that's anybody with a badge beside their name, the quiz is happening on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. At 9 o'clock. The first one of our members only Manchester United quiz is happening on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. So if you do want to get involved in that, guys, the live is going to be for official channel members only. You can hit the join button underneath this video, or the link is in the description of the video. Join as an official channel member. There's extra content coming out for channel members this year. The quiz once a month being one of them, and then of course they get to come on the match reaction videos with us. And like you seen, Chris is a channel member, and he done the watch along last week when I couldn't do it. So happy days. I appreciate it. So yeah, if you do want to become an official channel member, link is in the description button. Hit the join button below. The first episode or the first live quiz is coming, and there we go. They're all coming from that. The Ultimate Manchester United Quiz Book. 1,400 questions. We're going to have a different topic every month. This one is the early days. So we go right from the foundation of the club all the way up to when Sir Alex Ferguson took over. And that's episode 1. So we'll be talking about Matt Busby, questions about all of that kind of stuff. Oshin says, I've got a game of ball Wednesday. Well, you know, priorities, I suppose, you know what I mean. But yeah, look, you can it'll be available to watch back. The live is going to be for channel members only, but once the live is over, I will have it on the channel for everybody else to watch after that as well. It's just the specific live is for channel members only. But anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. Have a great rest of your night. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope to see you back here again tomorrow night from 9 o'clock. Until then, have a great night, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy.